This is my audience. Zombies in today's culture are mostly known as humans that are brought back to life for some reason, whether it's radiation, virus, chemicals, whatever. And most people would say that they're fiction, that they're only fiction, they'll never be able to brought back to life, but that's where I disagree, and I'm hoping to convince y'all of the same. I'm going to be talking about zombies that are brought back specifically by viruses or chemicals. And there have already been cases of like zombie-like creatures or humans even with zombie-like actions. So there are already nootropic viruses, which are just viruses that affect your nerves, that have existed already that make you more aggressive or just kind of have strange behaviors. And it's very possible for these viruses to either mutate on their own or for them to combine with other ones. Like the flu virus combining with a rabies virus would create a fast spreading biting virus. This is always happening, and all these viruses are continuing. That's why we have more vaccines, and that's why we are continuing to get better every day. And viruses spread insanely fast. The University of Arizona did a study where they kept a virus in a room and they watched, how quickly the virus spread. In just 4 hours, it had hit 40 to 60% of surfaces without even really anyone trying to. And with humans today, we don't wash our hands, we don't cover our mouth when we sneeze, when we cough, we don't care. So if this were to happen, even with viruses hanging in the air, we won't see it happening, but we would make this virus spread so quickly and we wouldn't even know it. There's also plants and chemicals and drugs that exist that kind of show, again, zombie-like actions. The first one is the most common in the zombie community, which is the pufferfish and the toxins of the pufferfish. When you get stung or, when you step on it, if you even eat some of it, because it is a dish for some reason, it's common for it to get you sick, just, needing to lay in bed all day, making you throw up, just kind of normal stuff like that. But it's also really possible for it to paralyze you completely, put you in a coma, or even kill you. And some cases of the being paralyzed and being put in a coma have shown that some people are fully conscious when this happens, and that they're just in this dreamlike state. That's important to remember for later on. And there's also a fungus in Brazil that has only been seen in bugs, but it does completely cut off your higher thinking. An ant will go down and it'll eat this fungus, and then it'll come back up and it'll latch on to a leaf in what scientists literally call a death grip, because when this happens, they're already dead. The fungus has already taken control of their mind, and they grow out of the ant in like spikes and tendrils, and they suck all the nutrients that the ant is getting from the leaf and completely kill it from the inside, completely cutting off its higher thinking, not letting it do anything else. There's also a plant called devil's breath, which is mostly in South America, but it's commonly used in Mexican gangs and sometimes in police forces and even in the CIA, because what happens is they'll get this plant and put it into a powder, and they'll blow it in the person's face, and when this happens, they'll do whatever the person wants. If you tell them, show me where your house is, give me all your money, tell me the whole truth, they'll do it because they don't care. They're just doing what they're told. And so this is, again, why it's really commonly used in police forces, because they'll just do it. They don't care. And so there's also drugs. There's bath salts and flocka, and both of these will cause extreme hallucinations and aggressiveness and mania. And so all these are really, really important to think of, because all of these are kind of having different zombie-like actions, especially the drugs, because they can also cause really extreme strength, like higher than any human that we would possibly know of. So these could also, with man, combine and mutate together, heightening these different parts, and they could drop it on a city in chemical warfare. And not only would this create a lot of zombie-like humans, but it would create mass panic. And we wouldn't know what to do because we've never encountered anything like this. There are already examples of, zombie-like humans. The most common one is Claverius narcisse. I will never pronounce that right because it's French. But his symptoms, when he described, are extremely close to the pufferfish. He explains that he had died, had a certificate and everything, but he explains that he was in a dreamlike state. He was fully conscious when he was being buried, when they were giving his obituary. He could hear everything. And he could even say, you know, I got the scar when y'all were nailing in my coffin, and nail went through me. And he says that someone had kidnapped him. He didn't know how later after he was being buried, and that they had put him in this dreamlike state and forced him to work on a farm for 2 years. And he had finally gained consciousness and killed his kidnapper and came back, and that's how they knew that it was him. But all these are so similar, and again, people just told him what to do, and he thought it was totally fine because he was just in this dreamlike state. There's also Sharon Tay, who was on bath salts and was able to give her story of how being addicted to bath salts, what it did to her. Thankfully, she got clean, but she explains that she felt like bugs were all over her, and she would self-harm by getting tweezers and, you know, trying to get it. She also had voices in her head telling her what to do. And a lot of these were suicidal thoughts. And they said, you know, if you stick your feet out this window, jump out 2 stories, you know, reality will come back. These hallucinations will stop. And so you have these voices telling you, this is what you need to do, not because, you know, you're worthless or whatever, but just to make everything normal again. And every drug affects everyone differently. So these voices could tell you, you know, things will be normal if you eat that person. Things will be normal if you kill them. You never know. Then also, Thomas Robinson, who is a veteran paramedic and a firefighter, explains how he was on call when a man who was on Flocka had to be held down by 11 first responders. 11 grown men holding down, I think, someone who was like maybe 22. And he was still able to resist until they could finally, you know, inject him with the thing that makes him, you know, go to sleep and put him back down, because he was so intensely strong. They had to keep bringing people to hold him down. So you have viruses that can mutate by themselves that already affect your brain. You have chemicals and plants and drugs that, again, already affect your brain in these strange ways. We just don't have that right combination yet that can really turn you into a zombie. But it's so possible when you really start looking into the science of all of this. It is terrifying of what is possible already in this world. So while many people think it's fiction, I just highly disagree. And now that you all know, start preparing. And showing my audience